The angel investors that invested in my startup early on were invaluable in more ways than just the money that they invested. They were helpful in introductions, they were helpful in strategic advice, and were helpful in helping us navigate some tough situations. So on this episode, I'm gonna walk you through my 3-step strategy that shows you how to find, target, and land the right angel investors for your startup. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, author of the book, How to Punch the Sunday Jitters in the Face, entrepreneur and angel investor. On this channel, I help startup founders like you become unstoppable in your life and your business. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon because I drop an episode every single Sunday that gives you strategic advice that's super actionable on becoming unstoppable in your life and your business. After having raised from an incredible group of angel investors in my round when I was building out ToutApp, and now being an angel investor myself, I'm gonna walk you through my 3-step strategy on finding the right ones. So first, let's get super clear about who is an angel investor. If you look at some of the other YouTube videos about angel investing, they're kind of crazy because they're telling you to go to the local dentist and a random rich person, or look at random lists online. I have a very specific way of finding and identifying and engaging the right angel investors. I'm gonna walk you through that. But let's be clear on what an angel investor is. An angel investor is someone that's accredited in high net worth, invests very early, and invests their own money. This is super important, especially today, because there are all these pre-seed funds and seed funds and scouts. The best angel investors are the ones that are literally writing a check out of their own bank account, putting their own skin in the game, and are in it to help you be successful and raise further rounds and grow, and hopefully get to profitability or IPO at some point, right? I'm not gonna go through just like, here's a random list of angel investors and you should hit them up. Here's my 3-step strategy. Bear with me here. Step 1 is to get super specific about the space that you're in, okay? Now, this is a little ironic, but it makes sense in that what you need to do, the first step you need to do to land great investors, angel investors, is the same thing you need to do to land great customers. Number 1, you have to get very specific about what problem you're solving. And number 2, you have to get very specific about the type of customer you're looking to serve to solve that problem. So, for example, in my company, ToutApp, we built sales software for salespeople, and it was selling to businesses that had salespeople, and we were charging for the month, and we helped them with their sales emails. That's super specific. Salespeople have to send a lot of emails, they have to follow up, they can't keep track, so we help salespeople send emails more effectively. Super specific, right? That's what I mean by you gotta get super specific about who you're serving and the space that you're playing in. So some examples of this, I gave you mine. It was B2B, software as a service, email, serving salespeople. Another example might be B2C, so business to consumer, software as a service around wellness for moms. Or you're direct to consumer and you're doing something around education, test prep for teens. So super specific. This doesn't have to be overly complicated. You need these 3 to 4 words that uniquely niches down your space and says, here's exactly what we're working on. So that's step number 1. Ironically, that step number 1 is what you need to do anyway to be successful in landing customers. And so often I see founders trying to get this crazy vision and this crazy thing, crazy pitch going to impress investors about their large vision, but can't get to the brass tacks to pitch a customer and say, here's what we actually do for you. And angel investors, particularly, are some of the shrewdest of the bunch, and they're investing their own money. So they'll really want to see the pitch that you give to a customer to know if there's some legs to the idea that you're working on. So step 1, get very specific about the space you're in. Step number 2 in this strategy is to find grown-up startups in that space. So I want you to go online and start Googling, and Google is great for this because it never forgets anything. You want to find funding announcements, you want to find IPO news, you want to find acquisition news, all around this specific space that you're in. When I was starting ToutApp, there were a bunch of companies that started 10 years before that were working on the same thing. And then they got acquired and moved on and the cycle repeated. So what you need to do is find what I call the grown-up startups. Grown-up startups that are either in their late stage, already got acquired or IPO'd, And you need to identify who are all those companies over the last 10 years that played in your space. And there's gonna be companies like that, unless you're creating a robo-taxi. And even if you're creating a robo-taxi, there are companies that have been playing in that space for 10 plus years. So there really shouldn't be an excuse. Once you identify your space, step 2 is find a list of grown-up startups in that space. And this is very specific. The reason I say grown-up startups is because of this step 3. The step 3 is what really brings this strategy together, because a grown-up startup has a group of people that were in your shoes not too long ago. And not too long ago being in startup years. So about 10 years ago, they were probably raising an angel round, or they were starting to fundraise, or starting to build an idea. But now that they're in the late stage, they've gone into some sort of M&A transaction, or they've IPO'd, it means they now have liquidity, right? Those people. So what you want to do now is, out of those grown-up startups, you want to find the C-level people, you want to find the early employees, and you want to find the prior investors, and also obviously the founders. So you want to find that group of people, the C-level people, which includes the founders, the early employees, and prior investors. So let's just pause here for a second. Are you starting to get this? So on one hand, there's a lot of advice out there that says go on angel lists and find all the angels. Or go find your local angel group and group of dentists that like hang out and want to do deals. Those are not bad ideas, but this is a very targeted strategy. So are you starting to get this? If you actually focus on people that are playing in your space, that have played in your space, that understand your customer, maybe not in the same problem space, but in the general customer space. So for me, I had a bunch of angel investors that loved email. We are part of the email mafia. They were like, you're doing email, we're into this, let's talk about it. Email is not dead, long email. So you need to find that group of people that deeply understand the problem space you're in and have had success in that space and now are willing to give back and help you in that space. And let's just pause for a second, because if you find that kind of investor, can you just imagine how much more strategic they're going to be? How much more likely they're going to be able to invest? How likely are they going to be willing to invest? And how likely are they going to be able to introduce you to future investors, bigger investors, venture investors that understand that space as well, because they're part of a network already? If you're starting to get that, can you just hit the like button for me and also comment below with a yes? That kind of engagement gets my video to spread to more founders and means the world to me. So I would really appreciate that. So to bring it all together, once you have this list, right? You've identified your space, you've figured out the grown-up startups in that space, you've figured out the people that have made money in that space and know about that space. You want to now find them on LinkedIn or get a warm introduction or cold email them, but you want to email them in a very specific way and keep it short and sweet. The way you're going to do that is you're going to say, number 1, congrats on the success with blank. Whatever that company was and that space, just say congrats. That shows that you've done your research and you understand that they were part of a very specific journey. Number 2, you're going to say, I'm working on a startup in this space. Okay, so just identify like, hey, congratulations on building that sales email startup. I'm working on helping salespeople. And then number 3 is your unique insight. You always have a unique insight. If you're building the same damn company that they did, it doesn't make any sense. You have some new twist to it. You have some new, deeper understanding of the problem you're solving for that customer. So then you say, in the space, we think that there's a problem around X, and we want to go solve that. Boom. Number 1, congrats. Number 2, we're doing a startup in the space. Number 3, here's our unique insight. And then you say, are you interested in getting on a call for some advice? All right, you don't just say, do you want to give us some money? You just say, can we get on a call for some advice? But you also want to be transparent. So in the PS or in the sentence after, you say, by the way, full transparency, we are raising a round, so I'm happy to tell you about that if you're angel investing. But more importantly, I want some advice because you are familiar with the space and have deep experience. So that's my 3-step strategy on how you can find, target, land the right angel investors so that they're strategic, so they understand your space and they can help you in the long run to build your startup and become unstoppable. So now you know how to go find the right angel investors, but you may still have some trouble in articulating your core startup strategy. What is the space that you're in? Who is the ideal customer? This is why I created my 5-point Unstoppable Startup Strategy Guide. My Unstoppable Startup Strategy Guide helps you create a 1-page strategy brief for your startup. And you can now download it for free. Just follow the link below. It's my gift to you so that you can get tethered to an unstoppable strategy for your startup and grow to new heights. All right, so now you know how to find and target the right angel investors for your startup so that they're strategic and they can help you in the long run. Here's one thing about angels. Once you hit up one angel and they really like you, there's usually 5 to 10 other angels they do deals with. So if they really like you and they're investing, they'll open up that opportunity with their friends. And that means that even more people that understand your space will get exposed to what you're working on, and you'll get even more strategic people on board. That's the magic of this whole strategy versus going around and hitting your random rich person, which is kind of what all the other strategies tell you to do. So I hope this helped. Now you know how to find and target the right angel investors, but you may not know how to actually get your space down right. You may not be clear on what your problem statement is, or who your ideal customer profile is, or the core strategy of your startup. This is one of my most favorite things about startups, figuring out the right strategy. This is why I created my Unstoppable Startup Strategy Guide. It's a mouthful. You can follow the link below. It's completely free, and it gives you my 5 points that you need to follow to create a one-page strategy for your startup, which will give you clarity on how to pitch your customers and your investors and grow your startup in the right way. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're part of a founder group, a Slack channel, a mailing list, please share this video if you found it valuable. We want to spread our message to as many startup founders as possible. Our team puts in a lot of work into these videos, and we want to make sure that we're impacting as many people as possible. And be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, because I drop a video on how to help you become unstoppable as a startup founder in your life and your business every single Sunday. And lastly, if you did find value, please comment below with a yes. That way I know you're engaged and we can have a conversation. And speaking of conversation, if you want to continue the conversation, feel free to DM me on Instagram. My username is Kader, and you can just DM me. I respond to every single message that comes into that inbox. I want to continue the conversation, and we can talk about running your personal life as a startup founder or scaling your startup. Both things are fair ground for my Instagram. And remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. But with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you next Sunday.